Okay, let's make a start. Lee, you've already recorded it, so no need for that. So welcome. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on the session. I'm thinking we're going to probably last. We had a session this afternoon. It lasted an hour. Just to say that this session is probably more aimed at those who are new to full-time. Well, maybe not new to full-time, but maybe your first year of integration, or you're just, you know, starting the fixtures. Those more experienced, I'm not sure how much you'll get out of it, but we're going over fixtures. So hopefully, you know, you may well pick something up. So I'm joined tonight by Lee, the lovely Lee Moran, who works in my team. We're on the digital customer service team. We're going to be joined by Andy. He is coming home from Wembley, so maybe a little bit late, but we're all grassroots people. We're all involved with various leagues and clubs away from the day job. So, you know, this full-time is pretty much our bread and butter. But tonight we're going to be concentrating on fixtures. Now, hopefully you have all been on a Teams meeting before, so you'll be well aware of how you can use the chat functionality. So please, we absolutely want to hear from you. So please put any questions that you might have in the chat, and one of us will attempt to either come back to you in chat, or we've got plenty of time for questions. So please pop any questions that you might have in there. So without further ado, I'm just going to make a start, and we're going to talk about preparing for using one of the schedulers. Either Andy or Lee is going to demonstrate them later on, but I'm going to jump straight into a live demonstration on how we can prepare with this scheduler. So if you can bear with me 1 second, I'm going to have to stop sharing and reshare the screen. That might actually work this time. Okay, so hopefully you can see my full-time screen now, and everybody should be familiar with how to get into full-time. So you can sign in a couple of places, but I just happen to have the link open here. So I sign in using my email and my password. And it will take me straight into my league pages. I don't want to be in either of these leagues. I want to be in this league, Matchday and PayPal League, and I'm going to be using this season's data to start with. Now, before we even start talking about fixtures, what I wanted to show you was, or probably my advice would be, is to hide your fixtures until you're ready to display them. So the first thing I'm going to show you is where you can hide your fixtures. So across the top here, you've got lots of tabs that you can use, but the one I want to be in is Fixtures, Hide Fixtures. And you've got a couple of options. So you can do all divisions. So if you want to hide all the fixtures, you know, from today, you don't want to display any fixtures, then you can do so using all divisions. If, however, you might want to publish your elite division fixtures a week early, you can do them separately. So all you need to do is select the division that you want to hide, or select all. I'll put today's date in, August, obviously, 2022, and update. And that will mean that all of my fixtures are hidden until I'm ready to release them. You can then just go and release the fixtures at any point when you're happy with them. So that's the first recommendation that I would make to you before we even start thinking about fixtures. Hide them before you do so. We're going to be talking quite a lot about the various fixture schedulers. That isn't the only way that you can do fixtures. You do have the option to do fixtures manually. So if I go to Fixtures Manual, it shows me whatever division I want to look at. It gives us the teams within that division, and I can literally go and either set the date up, set the time that I want the match to start, select which matches I want to be played on these days and go and create a fixture on there. I'm not going to do it because I know that we're going to use this for a demo later on, so I'll not confuse things for Leah or Andy. But yeah, it's as simple as that. You can also upload fixtures. If you've prepared all your fixtures already, you've got the option here to, you've got a fixture uploader. It is from a spreadsheet. So what I would recommend that you do is to download the spreadsheet template first, simply by right-clicking on the link, open it, and it will tell you the format that we need this, the fixtures that you've scheduled to be uploaded in. It is a rather complex spreadsheet template. You don't have to fill out all the columns by any means. Just fill out the information that you want, and then you've got full instructions here on how you can then open in data in the spreadsheet, save it as a CSV, and then upload your spreadsheet, and that will be your fixtures done if you've already done them manually. But before Andy goes on and demos how to use the fixture schedulers, I want to tell you how we would like to, the best way it is to prepare. And the things I want to talk about are shared venues and admin venues. So you can either, from admin home, you can go to Pitch Finder venues and go in that way, or you can go to setup and venues. You've got a little tick box here, which is quite useful. Show the venues for this season only. It obviously hides any historical data if you have been using full-time for a number of years and you've got some out-of-date information in there. Now, any new leagues that are brand new to full-time this season, haven't integrated before, all of your venues will show as the name of your team. So your venue details will show as Iconic Arch Albion, this one Iconic Arch Bays, etc. If you've integrated into full-time before and updated your venue information, like this league have, so last year, the Fauna, Northstone Sports Ground, etc., the teams that usually play at them, that was updated last season, and that's carried on automatically when we've done the information. Previously, you had to do your venues every year, but I think it was last season we updated that, so you no longer have to update your venues. Now, in order to update your venues, I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. So let's have a look at the Iconic Arch Bays. So if I know that the Iconic Arch Bays play at a venue, I can go and select the ground. I'm just going to pop the postcode in here, so I happen to know it's DL147JZ. So I'll go and search for the ground. This is. Did I put the? I probably put the wrong postcode in. You know, it's been one of those days. Oh, it's loading the sites. I think it's just me being impatient. Okay, so my sites are loaded. So you can see here I've got 4 potential sites that it could be. If I hover over the sites, it will give me the name. So I've got Bishop Auckland Rugby Club, Etherley Lane, and this is King James the First Academy. So I know that my Iconic Arch Bays play at the Academy. So I can simply tap on it, select the site, and that will now update. So if I Control and F, oops, and I look for King James, it shows me King James Academy, gives me the address, and it shows me that the Iconic Arch Bays play there. Now, if I want to edit the information, so click on King James Academy, it tells me about the information on here, but I happen to know there's more than one pitch. Now, so I can I'm going to edit the name of this pitch because I want to put in that it's an 11-11 pitch. I can go and add as many pitches as I want. So give it pitch number 2. That's also an 11-11 pitch. And maybe put pitch number 3 is a 7-7 pitch, etc. So you get the idea. You can go and update your pitches until your information is correct. Okay, another way that you can update the information for your teams. I'm just going to open a new tab in here. And if I go to setup in Teams, and I can see in the Elite Division here, I've got my iconic arch Bs, who I've just changed to King James I Academy. But I can see the other teams, I've already updated their ground information. No longer says iconic arch Devils, and yet they play at Wallsend Boys Club. But my iconic arch Wasps, I haven't updated yet. So I can simply go in and edit that information. And at the bottom here, you can see it's got the venue that I've currently got them down as playing at, but I can go and add a venue. So if I click on here, I can simply start typing things in, typing King, the share the ground. I can click King James I Academy. What pitch do they play on? They play on the 11-11, the pitch number 1. So click that, click add. And now I can go and remove my defunct pitch there, so it no longer appears. So if I click on remove, it's gone from here. And I believe if I just go and refresh this information in here, and I Control and F and look for my iconic arch, oh God, was it Wasps? Wasps, yeah, iconic arch Wasps, you can see, here they are, and they're playing at the King James I Academy. So that's updated the information automatically from there, and that iconic arch Wasps ground is no longer shown. So I know it seems quite a long, laborious process, but it is worth spending some time updating your ground information to get it correct, because the more work that you put in up front, the better you know, the output from your fixture schedulers is going to be. Just go back to this one. If I go back here, so looking at my teams within here, so I can see both of them are playing at King James Academy. Wasps, you can see, are on pitch number 1, but it could be that these pitch share, so the Bs might pitch share with them. So at the moment, if I edit and look at what pitch we've got the Bs on, I've got that they play on anyone. I could now go and add the King James Academy. I know the pitch sharing, so therefore I know they're playing on pitch number 1, the 11-11 pitch. If I add that, and I can just remove that pitch because I don't want them within my fixture scheduler to be scheduled to play on anything but pitch number 1, 11-11. And by using pitch numbers, the scheduler is going to identify if you're using 2 different pitches, and therefore they can both be at home, and vice versa. If they're both using the same pitch, they're not going to put them one at a home venue or both at a home venue on the same day, because the system's clever enough to know that the pitch share. So giving a little thought about it will put you in good stead later on. Before I pass over, I'm going to just mention quickly or briefly the primary contacts. So primary contacts will automatically come over as team managers. So under people, primary contacts, it will give you, again, split by division if you wanted to. So split by division, it will give you a list of any primary contacts. So any team managers or team secretaries who have been added to a team who are within your league. It will automatically default to the team manager being the primary contact. Now, what we mean by primary contact is that any notifications that go out to your teams, if you do any, fixture amendments or anything somewhere down the line, everybody within the affected teams will get an email. However, the contact details that show at the top will be those of the primary contact. If the primary contact has put their home telephone number in, then that will also display within the email. So if they don't want a home telephone number, or in this case, mine was a work telephone number, then they need to make sure whatever they want published within the notifications is the email that goes out in here. It's a simple case of, selecting, ticking, unticking, whoever you want. Obviously, I wouldn't put these in because they haven't got an email address. I beg your pardon. They haven't got a telephone number in here, so it would be a bit pointless. But I could make Sam Yates the primary contact for this. So went out a notification and somebody can ring them if they so desire. So just a little tip, check your primary contacts before you publish your results and start making amendments to them. You as a league can change that, and also I believe that the team managers can change the primary contacts themselves within your full-time website. So if you just let me get rid of this, I'm going to go back into slideshow. So great. So we've had a brief look at shared venues and pitch sharing. As I say, we're going to be talking a little bit about support later on, and we have got some nice articles in there that tell you, how to do your pitch sharing and how to update pitch information on there. But yeah, Andy's going to, or Andy, if he's turned up, and Lee is going to go through the schedulers now. So we're going to be looking just at the template scheduler, very useful for smaller leagues that have only got one division. The advanced scheduler does what it says in the tin, much more advanced. You can put more information into it, and therefore you can get better information out of it. Yeah, I've already mentioned the manual fixtures and the fixture uploader. So I'm going to pass on to, I'm not 100% sure who is going to demonstrate the fixture scheduler for us.
I'll share my screen now.
Oh. Welcome, Lee, and thank you for covering.
Don't worry. So hopefully my screen is now sharing and it's loaded up and caught up. So we're going to quickly, hopefully quickly, is work through the schedulers which you have available to you as part of full time. So first things first, in the fixtures, you see at the top there is the scheduling and rescheduling. Claire's been through many of the other steps, so I'm just focusing on these ones just here. So first things first, what I'm going to do is just click into it. So first we're going to look at the template scheduler. The advantages of full time, it uses what is called a wizard. So a wizard is basically, it takes you step by step all the way through, so you can't exactly go wrong. It's just about taking your time to make sure you get it right. Because if you get it right in that first instance on your whole bulk season, you're then just making amendments or postponements or tweaks or fixtures as you're going along. It really helps you getting you that initially across the line and getting that initial full upload on there. So first of all, we're going to look at the template scheduler. So first things first, like I say, it's a wizard. It tells you where it wants to go through. It asks you which divisions you would like to use and create fixtures for. So the purpose of this one, I'm going to select both divisions available with 4 teams in both. It does also inform you if there's already fixtures made, because you may want to check if there's fixtures already made, if you're wanting to remove them, or what you wanted to do with it, because you can get confused with it. So that's just there just to kind of warn you to check if there is already fixtures made. Jump on to next step. It comes up and asks you the questions, do you have any venue sharing teams? So Claire's done a lot of setup before, but for this purpose of this template schedule, what you want to look at is actually putting the teams and the pairs together. So for this, I am going to click yes. And if I remember the 2 teams, they were the Wasps and the Bees. They play at the same venue. So you can see here, venue suggestion. This is actually already saying these teams are playing at the same venue. So from all that work Claire's done before and setting it up, it makes this initial creating of the setup for the fixtures much easier. So I'm just going to add that one, and as well, I'm just going to, for the sake of this, saying the Flies and Hornets as well. They play the same venue as well. This is just in case you have to map that scenario where there's only one pitch. and you want to make sure it's available. All I would do then is next step. This confirms how many times the teams are going to play. So it goes to the default of 2 because that's what the standard one most people do. But for example, this is a very small divisions with 4 in each. You can increase the number if you wanted to. But again, for just purpose, we're just going to keep it at 2. And then it tells you how many matches have been played and how many teams, and then any buys. So if you have an odd number, it tells you how many buys a team has, so you know how many weeks they're potentially missing out on games. Again, next step, this is the one of the most important bits. This is creating a time slot and inputting any closed dates. So what you'll see is all of the fixtures, it's penciled them all in. So it's saying match number 1, those are going to play each other, number 2, 3, 4, etc. This is just what now it needs. It needs a time slot for that fixture. It needs to know when that game's going to happen. What many people do, which is the easiest one, is a repeating time slot, because it's the easiest way for most people, and most leagues have a default time to set it up. So for example, Saturdays usually 2, Sundays either morning or afternoon. For this league, I'm going to do Sunday, and it's going to be an 11 o'clock kickoff. And then it says how many with fixtures per time slot until the end of your season. It will default to what it thinks it should be. It's usually the maximum, but if you need to reduce the number now, it just means the season will last longer. Then when I hit create, you see straight away it's slotted the dates against the fixtures. So it's straight away mapped out the fixtures for that season. Perfect. That's the easiest way to create them. You create them for the full season because it's worked out how long you need and how long, for example, you don't need. You can as well, just if you wanted to insert one weekend, you can do it 1 by 1 if you really wanted to. But for actual purpose of this, I think I would expect majority to put the repeating time slots in. The advantage with this one then and the closed dates, what you can do is this division doesn't go long enough. But a prime example around Christmas time, football will probably be cancelled because people are away and the league's not playing. You can input, for example, if I go to, it works, the division's not going that far. But let's say Christmas, it's on a Christmas Day is on a Sunday. You wouldn't expect your team to play Christmas Day. If you are, you're probably slightly harsher than me. You would then select and create that as a closed date, and you more than likely select all day. That means no fixture will get allocated to that day. So it just allows you to put little tweaks in. So I know a lot of girls' leagues, Mothering Sunday, they may not play. Easter weekends, teams may not play. You can just pop them in just to help it, just to make sure you're not then having to amend fixtures when you know they're already going to be cancelled. And then final step, I will just review it. And what it does, it just gives you the full list. So you can see everything going on. You can glance down and you can see it. And then all you would do is hit create fixtures. I'm not going to because I'm doing an advanced scheduler next and it'll come up with all sorts of wonderful colours. But that is just a quick way if you have a small amount of divisions, a small number of teams where it's quite quick and easy to do. As you can see, I've talked through this quite slowly. You could do this in under 5 minutes. You can quickly have all your season set up for all your teams, done and dusted, nice and easily. What you can also do is in the first step, I only selected the 2 divisions we had. You may wanted to just do one or a couple at a time if you have a different batches of numbers. So you may have 5, you may do, I'm doing 2 of them because they're 11 aside and then I'm doing 3 because they're 7 aside. You can pick and choose as you're going along. But that is a very quick walk through the template scheduler, which I hope makes sense, and it's nice and easy if you are having a quite a nice little league, just set up fixtures in one big instance and they're then created. What we're next going to look at is the advanced. So it says 30 minutes approx to create. Hopefully it doesn't take 30 minutes to talk through. But again, it's the same as the previous one. It's looking at a wizard. So when you click it, it may take you through and then you want to go again through to the advanced scheduler. Like it's a wizard, again, it will talk you through what everything is telling you to do and you just need to cross-reference and check everything. So for the purpose of this, the rest hours, that is the minimum number of hours between consecutive fixtures for a team. That defaults to 48 hours, which is 2 days. You can set that to however you want. It's between 0 and 168. You can change that if you wish. Many leave it just as 48. Some may reduce it down to 24. They don't want a team playing the next day. But for example, if you're a Saturday league, you may want a team to be able to play on Monday or Tuesday. So actually 48 hours will block out that Monday. So you may want to reduce that, but it's worth just thinking about if that's needed for your league. But a lot keep as 48. You can do the same for specific pitches if you wanted to click in and see the list of venues and then select how often they can be played on. You can do that too. And the conflicts. So you can hide conflict alerts. We don't recommend doing that because it's quite important that if you do have a conflict when you're going through the admin, you try avoid them as much as possible. But if you do have a conflict, at least then you can see it and look at it and sort it out. So we always advise leaving that on just so you can actually see the issues which have possibly arisen. And then there's the conflict mode time slots. Again, we'd say leave this ticked because when you're doing your time slots, it will tell you if there's a conflict on that day. So for example, the team or the venue's double booked on that day, it will give you the warning in the time slot. If you untick that, you won't know until you complete it, and then you'll get the alert if you left the alerts on. So again, we kind of advise leaving that on just so you can see exactly what's going on. And with the added feature of county cups now in on the system, it'll give you that warning too on your time slot so you can actually see what is happening. And then at the bottom, it's very similar to the one before in the template. You're just selecting how many times these teams can meet. So you can go higher if you wanted to than the 4 was offering in the one before. But I've never known teams meet each other 10 times, but you never know these days. And then the number of games the same teams cannot play. So that means they're not playing back-to-back fixtures. They're not playing one time on 1st of September against each other and then playing on the 7th of September against each other. It'll just avoid that by putting the 21 days in there. And that's by default. You can change that if you wish, but just by default, it'll be 21. So I've checked all of that. I'm happy. I'm just going to go to the next step. So again, this is time slots. So it's similar to the one before. You need to create your time slots for your league. So what we're actually going to do, so the season starts on today, and it runs all the way through to the end of June. What I have is a primary time slot or secondary. Primary is one you would always try fill first when we do the end settings. And the secondary, it will then fill if it can't fulfill all those primary. So it exceeds the primary slots, it will then go into the secondary. Fantastic for leagues who want to play the odd midweek game. You can put some midweek secondary time slots on and it will fill them if they're not going to complete their fixtures by the end of the season. I know many leagues also put a secondary time slot in September because it's still light for midweek fixture, just to get them going so you can allow for some cancellations around the bad weather we get in November and Christmas, but you can create them. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to select a primary on a Sunday at 11 o'clock again, all the way through, and I'm just going to hit create. So if I scroll down, you will see it's created. There's going to be a fixture. There's some previous ones on there, but it looks like that. Let me just delete all and do that again. So what we're going for, so you can see there's no time slots now, and I'm just going to create. So you see now they're on every Sunday. It was a previous demo, we left the time slots on, but don't worry. So you can see now it is just showing all the Sundays all the way through. What I'm then going to do is just going to add a couple of Tuesdays. What I'm actually going to amend then is just amend this date. So I want it actually through August and September, my secondary fixtures on a Tuesday because it's lighter then. And I'm just going to create them. You will see it's now slotted in the Tuesdays all the way through till the end of September. Perfect. I know it's light enough. I can use those. I put them as primary. Don't worry, I'm just going to continue. I'm going to select secondary. What that will then do, it will slot those games in if needs be. So you will see all those time slots have now been created. A good example for this point you can do it, I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing it, is what I used to do when I was setting up a league. I would scroll down to the Christmas period and I would just delete that time slot. I don't want Christmas to be a time slot because the games are not going to get played that day. It will cause rearrangements. It could be also on, I'm not going to work out when Easter Sunday is. It could be also on Easter Sunday. I want to cancel them all. But again, on the 1st, I'm again probably not going to play a game, so I'm going to cancel that. That means a fixture will never get arranged on there. It just won't happen. So I'm happy with my time slots. Everyone's going to play those dates. I'm going to go on to the next step. What this does, this is the fun bit of where you get to actually pick and choose and move things around or select who's available, who's not available. So you may always have, as we know from junior football, is when the season starts in September, you will always get hundreds of scenes saying, I'm not available, all the kids are still away. Right, so in advanced scheduler, what I can click is the Bs are away that day. They're not going to be able to play a game. So I'm going to tick them to not give them a fixture. And then actually, I then got another message saying that actually on Tuesdays, everyone's struggling. So I'm going to select all on that Tuesday, so no one gets that Tuesday. Fantastic. That's not going to click anything. And then likewise, you can just keep ticking through what you need to be. What you also can do, so what I'm just going to do is just going to hit update on that. And you see straight away, it saved the ones I ticked and it's dragged all the ticks there. What you can also do, if you find suddenly you ticked something incorrect, you can click this clear all. What we'll do is just clear completely that row. So we hit update again. That row is now being cleared. So it allows you just to kind of work through your list if you need to be, just to amend if anyone's unavailable. But again, you could do this over the Christmas. So if I still had a Christmas time slot on here, what I can actually do is let's find one in the 8th is probably still a bit too early for schools if it's junior football. I'm just going to select all on that. That's not going to give a fixture to everyone. That's cancelling off that day. So you can do it that way if you wanted to as well. But that's just for purpose of actually, if you wanted just to keep the time slot on, you can do it through the availability. And you can then just swap into your other division and do the same. What's even better, you can also do it to the venues. So we know what it's like through the summer months. There could be a festival on, a summer tournament where you've been informed that the club, well, let's find an actual one. The former North Durham Sports Ground isn't available on the 7th of 8th because there's a festival, a football festival on, or a music festival, whatever they want, and it's just not available. So what I would do, I would tick that, just hit update. That will allocate a fixture to that venue. So if those teams are able to play away, it will allocate them to away. We will just make sure there is no game on that ground. That might work better for certain situations, or if we have a horrendous winter like we've had in the past where there's flooded and you know the pitch isn't going to get played for a long time, you may go back in and do a rescheduling and again just close that pitch. And then it's not going to allocate a fixture then when you're rescheduling. What I'm then next going to do is I'm just going to hit next steps again. I'm happy with all my scheduling. Then what I can do, so with this, what it allows you to do, if you're in a league, a lot of adult ones do it. If there's specific, so Christmas time, when you don't want people traveling far, you can click must play. So AFC Raptures are playing AFC Lions. And I'm going to change that fixture date to the, let's just select the 2nd of October. That will make sure that fixture is getting played on that day. What I'll just do actually is change it to the Bees and the Wasps. That will make sure that fixture get played on that day, which is brilliant because it's a local derby. We know everything's going to boot off. We know there's going to be World War III there, and we've got to be careful. So we need all our referees there. We need all our league officials there. That fixture's been arranged. But also, it might be near Christmas. You want them to stay local. You can format the fixtures as you wish. So what I will also do is I'll just put the Devils and United on the same day. That fixture day is done. What you can also do is the cannot play, where you don't want two teams to play each other. I've never used this one, but you may want it to put in there that you don't want two teams to play. Delete that one off on a certain day. For some reason, and you can do if you wanted to. I don't know many people use this. I might get corrected in the chat if anyone does use cannot play. But yeah, you can then just say I don't want that game to happen on that day. Maybe it's a reason that you haven't got league officials and it's a bad game and you don't want you don't have people to attend. That's fine. You can select that in there. Once you're happy, you've created your must plays or cannot plays. You can then go to the final step, which is where you're just reviewing kind of all the information you've popped in together. So you've got your rest hours. You wanted to change that again because you thought, now, oh, actually I could do with changing it. What you need to make sure you do is just select which leagues you're wanting to create the fixtures for. And then we get to the options. So what we do recommend now, you have the options to include county cup fixtures. We do recommend ticking that. That means they're just there, and it will avoid putting fixtures on those county cup days. If you don't click it, then you may just create them. Now, I know some might say county cups aren't created yet, but just on the off chance your county has and actually hidden them, so you don't know they're there, just include them. And then you know you're on the safe side, you've done your bit. What you then can do is select where you want it to start from. More than likely it's always the first one, unless you wanted to change it. And then you've got how much time you want to spend on this schedule. What we recommend is, if you have the time, always go for full. The reason why I say always go for full, it will find the best solution for when all the fixtures can be played along with your recommendations. So what it does, it takes a bit longer, it takes about a day. What it does, it basically in its own system creates every single option and works out which one more fits what you want. Whilst if you go quick, the quick one will find a couple of suggestions, but it will just try sort out the best it can. Fast, it won't check anything. It will just create the fixtures as quick as possible with no smoothing, with none of these options. So for purpose of this, we're going to click full. And actually what we want to do is just give it some parameters so it understands what I want for my fixtures. So I want to avoid the same team playing twice consecutively at home or away. So what you'll find is then they're alternate, which is most leagues do, which is brilliant. And then actually just on the safe side, if the system cannot do that, because it physically can't because of the number of teams, I then wanted to think and not do it that the 3 times consecutively. It just in case it doesn't meet the first criteria, because if physically it's impossible, it's going to go to the second one. And then actually what I wanted to then do is avoid my secondary time slots and ASAP. Now you don't need to fill every single one of these. You can just have 2 if you wanted to, if you're not bothered about as soon as possible, or avoid using secondary time slots, that's fine. But you can do if you wanted to. Those are the 4 options. All you then do is click review. And what the review does, it basically just confirming it is possible. It has found a solution. Now it needs to work out it all, but he thinks it's possible in a system. And then what you would do is hit schedule, and off it goes. The system will now work out the best possible solution for all the criteria you've set. That's from the venues where we set up with Claire, all the way through to the steps we created in the time slots and must and cannot players, and then finally the smoothing options. So now that will just work. It will work itself. It will not send you an email, as you saw it had my work email. It would tell you when it's done, so you can go in later. When you do want to come back in later and view it, or you're just wondering what's going on with it, I haven't had an update in ages, what you can do is, again, on the advanced scheduler, you'll have schedule outcomes. So I can click schedule outcomes, and actually it's created it because there wasn't many fixtures. So what you can do at this point, you can accept or reject it, but what usually you check it before you accept or reject it, just for purpose of it. So what I'm just going to do, I am just going to check the complete proposed schedule. And what this does, it just gives me a list of what it's doing for fixtures. And I'm looking at that. I'm happy with it. That's going to work. That works for me. You obviously probably do a bit more checks than I've just done then. But then all I would hit is I'll just accept, and then you just confirm in the accept. Those fixtures are now created, which is brilliant. So I can now go into the fixture list and see them. So they're all been done, all been created. Whilst I'm in fixture list, I'll show you a little bit of shortcuts, smooth that. So what you can see, you have these options. You obviously, I know a lot of people on here will be familiar with the filters, so I won't go through them all, because I'm sure you can click through them and work them out for yourself. You can include your county cup fixtures, so that won't be default ticked on this, but I would always suggest just ticking it so you can see them. But what I can now do, these first 2 games, there's been a lot of bad weather, and then actually I want to postpone these before it's even started. So I can change the status. I'm just going to move them to postponed. I'll update it later. So you can see by bulk, I've postponed 2 games. And actually, I'm looking at it going, you have a lot of different options you can do. So again, these ones, I'm just going to look at a date and time. I can change the date and time if I wanted to. So I can change them both to the same dates. Or if you have, for example, your league has, you put the 23rd of the 8th to start your league, but you realise I want to push it all back a week, but you don't want to mess all your fixtures up. What you can do is just tick them all, and then you can add or remove days. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move it forward because I've got a postponed game. My own downfall for postponing games. What I'm going to do is add and remove games, 7 days, update. What that has now done is moved every single game on 7 days. So that might be you just wanting to delay the restart. You selected the wrong day and time slots. It happens to us all. And you can just quickly amend it and move it on. So again, you've got these little tricks, which you may have not been aware of before, where you can do some bulk actions if you really wanted to. What I will finally do whilst I'm in on it is the rescheduling. So rescheduling is great if there's a batch of bad weather, because we know in Britain we're going to get bad weather. It's pretty much a guarantee. So what you can do is go to I want to reschedule. I want to go, and again you just need to just double check that you are clicking the reschedule. What it does, it's like the previous one. So you see all that information is the same, so I'm not going to talk through it. I go next. It's remembered all my time slots. Fantastic. So that's great. It's remembered everything I've done previous. Next again, I can amend my availability. So you can see now it's put some fixtures in there. I can see by it being green, there's a fixture at that venue. That team, sorry, has got a game. So I can see the information there. So if I wanted to, for example, close anything, I can see kind of what is going on. Again, next, any constraints. I cannot play or must play. So it's exactly the same as the advanced schedule we've just been through. But then your final step we want you to do, it wants you to select the games you want to rearrange. So what tends to happen is you go in, and what I would usually do is use your filters. So I'm just going to go to postponed. There's 2 postponed game. I'm actually just going to click add all. They're going to go back in that list because they've been postponed, and you've done, the teams have postponed them over a couple of periods of time. Great. What you then also have is, I will be able to show you it on this. If you, for example, add a team into your league after you've done this, so after you've done your initial setup, what you will have is to BC fixtures, missing fixtures, where the team's been added in one after you created fixtures. What you can do at this point is select all those missing fixtures and get it to reschedule into the whole program. So that's just a little trick that if you find you've created everything, you're not having to delete it all. What you can do is add your missing fixtures back in there. You may also add in all the other fixtures just to reshuffle it back up. But what you can then do is, I've added 2 games in. I'm just going to hit next step. So these are the games. I can remove them now if I wanted to. So actually I don't want to amend them, I can remove them. But what I'm actually going to do is I wanted to again include county cups. But let's pretend I'm halfway down the year. So I'm in April. So I wanted to go from April and rescheduling this. Again, I want full, avoid twice or 3 times consecutively. And I'm going to reschedule those fixtures. It will then reschedule them. And I imagine it's probably going to do this rapidly again, if I'm really lucky. And again, it's the same steps as previous. You just go into the outcomes and you just check them and you just approve them. It hasn't done it. It started. This is when we test how quick our system is, Claire. There we go. So it's done it very quickly. What I can now just check is just check it again. I can do the complete, so check every fixture. I can just do new proposed fixtures, which I can see I'm happy with them. Again, I'm going to just accept and confirm. And that is I feel like a whistle stop tour of the different options there. And I'll stop sharing my screen now, and I think we're on questions now, Claire, I think. If you want to take over.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We'll just, I mean, we've been through the schedulers, been through the fixture list, showed you how to edit, whether it was in single or in bulk, showed you the conflicts. Can I just check, Lee, you know, if a county puts the county cups in later date, will they show us conflicts on there?
Yes. Yes, it
Excellent.
shows conflicts, and they'll come up on the home page now where you had your conflict box. It will show those
Perfect.
conflicts.
So you can just then go and reschedule exactly how you showed us. Wonderful. The chat, we've got some, it's been very quiet, which I don't know, is that a good thing? Not 100% sure. It's either you've explained everything very well, which I'm sure that it is.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Phil, thank you for your question. And I did say that this afternoon. Let me trace that up. I seem to think that we might have done it at the same time. Phil asked the question about the number of county cups that you can put in. It was at one point limited to 60. Now, I think that has been increased, Phil, but I just want to double check it before I confirm it. But Lee, if you wouldn't mind having a quick check in the chat, see if there's anything. I don't want to hold everybody up any longer. And we need to.
I think it's all fine, yeah.
Perfect. Well, all I'm going to say is I want to talk a tiny little bit about the knowledge base. So grassrootstechnology.thefa.com, the address is on there. So it's all about us trying to give you support. Now, if Fixtures is new to you, it's a heck of a lot to take in one go. So we do have quite a lot of articles on our knowledge base under the full-time section that should be able to help you. Might be worth speaking to your county FA, see what kind of support they can offer you. Now, I know we had challenges last year, and we've addressed those challenges this year. So we've added more staff into our service desk. So we're trying to get resolutions out, as quickly as and as accurately as we possibly can. And there's certainly a lot more support out there for you now. We've also changed the portals, as you can see. You've now got direct access as a league into competitions.thefa.com. So whereas 2 years ago you might have been sitting in a queue and whole game, you can now go directly into your competition portal. You'll still do your league sanction, your league structure within the whole game system, but you do your player registrations. So we're trying to reduce traffic by giving people direct access. If you haven't already integrated your leagues, again, get yourself on the knowledge base. You can submit an integration request. We can get your information pushed from the portal into full time, so you can start thinking about setting up your fixtures as soon as you possibly can. But I've filled in a few more minutes, Lee. Is there any more questions before we give a final?
Just one last one. Is there a way to input double headers? So I can take that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know double headers are two where to play two fixtures. So what we would say is manually create that other fixture for that game. I wouldn't put the same time slot. I'll put it like an hour later. The reason for that, then the club will get 2 SMS messages. It won't confuse them. They can input the result of the first one. They can then input the results of the second one, and that will work. No, the advanced schedulers won't allow you to do it because it'll pick up the conflicts. And he'll say there's already a game on that pitch at that time. So you just have to input, you only have to input one of them manually.
Perfect. Exactly what I was going to say, Lee.
Field play requirements, the dates don't change.
Sorry, I missed that.
The photo date's not changing on the player reg requirements. Is that what you're saying, Phil? I'm not certain. Yes, so you're saying that the date doesn't change on the photo requirements on whole game system.
Okay, so you can change your player registration league requirements to change your photograph date. If you think that you're having an issue with that, Phil, please submit a ticket with full details into the service desk and we'll look at that. I know we did originally have an issue on our known issues about photo upload on and after dates, but that was resolved last week before. If you're still having issues, submit a ticket and we can certainly look at that. But all that's left for me to say, massive thank you for me and Lee for taking time out of your evening. Don't forget, get yourself, if you need any support, grassrootstechnology.thefa.com, or you can get on us on Twitter at FAGRTech. But yeah, submit a ticket if you're having any problems, no matter how big, how small, get a ticket in and then we can get a look at it for you. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your evening. and have a nice night. And thank you once again for coming along.